Hi everyone and welcome back to the Grounded Minds podcast. Today we're recording from Marzocco's showroom at the Old Biscuit Mill in Woodstock, surrounded by iconic machines, great coffee and even better stories. We're unpacking the journey behind Marzocco South Africa, the people, the passion, and what it takes to build a world-class brand locally. And stay with us till the end for some quick-fire coffee trivia.
So we were very lucky to find the space, and it suits our purpose so well. While we're an espresso machine manufacturer, we're also a business that is fundamentally based on interpersonal relationships. I worked for them for the next 10 years, eventually dropping out of 2 degrees to follow a career into coffee with them. It was hard for me to wrap my head around in the beginning because your whole formative experiences with coffee is that it's bitter and it smells nice, but it tastes terrible. It's something that you have to add sugar to. It's something that needs to be boiling hot.
Hi,
Hello.
nice to meet you.
Sinjon, good to see
Oh,
you.
good to see you, buddy.
What an amazing place. My
Yes,
word.
that's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome. Let's have a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
I
Can't come here
love
without having
the
coffee.
energy and the vibe happening here in the Biscuit Mill.
Yeah.
It's like a hustle and bustle and central district for creativity.
Oh, let's try some of the famous coffee.
Yes, absolutely. So we're quite lucky in that we work with like South Africa's best coffee roasters. So the coffee behind this bar changes up every day, depending on what we want, what we like, and what we feel like in that specific week. And then of course we've got 2 grinders, so we can always offer whatever people's preferences. We've got a coffee for it. So if you like a dark roast, we've always got a grinder that has a dark roast. If you prefer a lighter roast or a medium roast, we've always got a grinder with a medium roast. And then if you don't like either of those things, we've always got that grinder and some backup coffee, decaf or regular calf, that we use for that as well. So
What about for non-coffee lovers?
we've got hot chocolate and we've got red espresso, but with the proviso that we're not a coffee shop.
Okay.
So we're so happy to make coffee for people, as long as they're prepared to listen to the story about the brand. One of our best friends and best customers, and also one of the best roasteries in South Africa, is Espresso Lab right next door.
And we saw that as we came in.
We never want them to feel like we're stealing their customers or stealing their business. We're here to augment what they do. And hopefully sell some coffee machines, because that's the name of the game, right?
The main objective.
And hopefully sell some mod bars, which is an ongoing project. An ongoing project.
Taste this coffee. This was the highlight of my entire month.
Good.
You know, the legend making me coffee. I mean,
You're gonna make me blush.
I hope the camera's picking this up, but I mean, it's like watching a symphony. It's like going to the opera. You know, you just got this flow and this creativity happening. And it's a pity they haven't incorporated smell into visual yet.
Smell-o-vision.
But if they could, smell-o-vision, but if they did, oh my word.
I think about that every time I watch MasterChef Australia.
Yeah, I would like to have my coffee set up like this in my kitchen. Any chance of that happening?
I'm sure
I can
there's a
help
way.
you out with the quotes.
I love that. I love that.
Cool. Shall we head over to the bar?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Let's go.
Great idea.
So open.
Yeah, no, we're incredibly lucky to have this space. When the business originally started, we were based up in Johannesburg. We operated up there for a few years, and it was great. I still love Johannesburg. It's one of my favorite places in the world, believe it or not. But we found this site by happenstance, pure happenstance. And I walked in, I saw the exposed beams, I saw the exposed bricks, and I just fell in love. And as you said earlier, you know, being surrounded by other creatives and other people in the mill, it just made complete sense. So we were very lucky to find the space, and it suits our purpose so well. while we're an espresso machine manufacturer, we're also a business that is fundamentally based on interpersonal relationships. And this is the space where we can welcome people not just into our brand, but into our culture and into our world. And part of that is hosting community events. It's cooking dinners from the kitchen behind me. It's just welcoming people in and allowing them to feel at home. And also offering a space for relaxation in our art gallery, a space to work on the bar counter or on the little cocktail chairs. And you hit the nail right on the head. It's a space where people should want to be and want to stay, hopefully. If
I
we
don't
do our
think you're
jobs.
going to get rid of us now.
No, I think
I'm
we're just
probably
gonna
make
move
it my
in.
new
It's fine. I've
workspace.
got a draft lease agreement on my computer, so
I love it.
we
And
can.
if you can serve this coffee every day, I'm going to make it my
We would just
permanent home, I tell
live
you
here
that.
forever. I'm more than happy to do that.
Absolutely no problem. Absolutely no problem.
I think though, I want to learn more about you now. I mean, we're going to get to the company and everything as we go, but I mean, you grew up in quite a beautiful little town, Hawick, you know?
I did. Do you guys know Howick?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, you've got to go.
I went on to Google Earth
Yeah.
and I started in New Zealand and eventually got to KZN.
Yeah. There is
So,
another Howick in
I
New
think
Zealand.
it's an understatement if I said I didn't know where Howick was.
So for your watchers and listeners who don't know of Howick either, Howick is a very small little town, just about an hour outside of Durban.
Okay.
It's the KZN Midlands have a certain magic. And that's where I was lucky enough to grow up. I was originally born in Johannesburg. And my parents being creatives, they were immediately drawn back to KZN into a space with other creative people. And the Midlands just fit the bill, specifically Howick. It was I can't imagine a better place to grow up.
Do you think it kind of, shaped that whole creative side of you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, being surrounded by potters, sculptors, painters constantly. It's just like an endless source of inspiration. Culinary professionals, of course, coffee roasters. It's a very special place. It's a really special place.
So Howick had coffee roasters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I got my start in the industry. So a friend of mine's parents were retiring. They come from a restaurant background, and while they had the means to retire, they didn't necessarily have the desire to retire. So they thought, what can we do as a little side hobby to make us a little bit of extra income? And they thought, well, coffee's kind of taking off. And it was in the early 2000s when the coffee industry was really, really, really gaining momentum. So they made a plan to buy a coffee roaster. They set up the business in a double garage. That's when I joined. And a few years later, we moved to a farm in an even smaller town called Curry's Post.
Curry's Post.
It's got a
Such
coffee
interesting
roaster.
name.
I feel like I'm not well traveled. You know what I mean? I need to get out
I'm
more.
definitely not.
Let me know when you want to go.
well-traveled.
I'll send you some recommendations.
KZN's on my list.
Absolutely. So Curry's Post has a coffee roastery and it has a church. That's it. There's nothing else. Blink and you'll miss it. But I got my start with my friend's parents at their coffee roastery. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Turbidum.
I have.
You may have seen it on the retail
I
shelves.
have.
There's
Yes,
a
on the
great
retail
game.
shelf. That's right.
The
That's
packaging.
right. That's right. Yes.
So I was part of the original team that launched Turbidum. And when I joined that business, it was really just in a part-time capacity while I studied. And we were roasting in a double garage, and I worked for them for the next 10 years, eventually dropping out of 2 degrees to follow a career into coffee with them. And here I am.
So I take it coffee was never part of the plan.
No, absolutely not. I didn't even know that coffee existed beyond the little granules that dissolve in the bottom of your cup. I was working in a bar when I was around 19. As a teetotaler. I quit drinking when I was 19. So you can imagine how much of a terrible bartender I was. But they also had a coffee machine. And the coffee supplier came in one day to do coffee training with us. And I was just like blown away, absolutely blown away.
Was that first love for you?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It was the concept that coffee didn't have to be bitter. It was hard for me to wrap my head around in the beginning, because your whole formative experiences with coffee is that it's bitter and it smells nice, but it tastes terrible. It's something that you have to add sugar to. It's something that needs to be boiling hot. It's not pleasant. No. But that first cappuccino that the trainer made for me, it was like a whole new, it sounds so cheesy, but it's like a whole new world had opened. And I was just obsessed. And if I'm absolutely honest with you, what really drew me in more so than the flavor was doing art on the cup, or latte art, or learning how to do latte art. I was obsessed with it. Absolutely obsessed to try do latte art. And yeah, from there, my friend's parents started the roastery. And as soon as I could, I moved over to help them. So I could continue my tutelage, literally just to learn how to do latte art. And that was nearly 20 years ago.
And I'm still here. How many years did you do that?
10 years. So
That's a long time. And you're 36 now, so.
Absolutely. So I kind of grew with the business. So in the early days, because again, it was my friend's business, I used to go in the evenings and I would sit on the bags of coffee and watch him roast. And he would tell me what he was doing, and the smells and everything associated with it was so romantic. And the soft warm glow at night, roasting coffee, it was incredible. The more exposed I was to coffee culture, like the more I became obsessed with it. So while I studied on my off days, I would go buy like 8 liters of milk, and I would drive to the roastery, and I would make coffee and throw it away, and make coffee and throw it away, and make coffee. And I did that for about 6 months before I was allowed to serve a cup of coffee in the restaurant. And then from there, Turbital was a great formative experience for me because I grew with them. So they were so keen to help me learn and put me through courses and send me to farms. So I transitioned my way through almost every sector of that business. So from a waiter, I became the barista. Once I had spent some time being the barista, I became the barista trainer. Then I started to do mobile events. I spent some time roasting coffee. I spent some time sourcing coffee. So I was lucky enough to go to farms in Malawi and Tanzania and Uganda to go source coffee.
And this is with Turbidor?
This is with Turbidor, yeah. So I was very lucky. Very, very, very lucky to get the start that I did where I did.
It sounds almost like you've achieved true mastery. I mean, if you think about the 10,000 hours, rule, if you look at your journey, you've pretty much covered true mastery, if you think about it. Is that how you feel about, if you think about the coffee culture, just this romance with coffee?
In a certain sense, yes. I don't believe that anyone in the coffee industry is ever finished learning. So I'm always hesitant to call myself a master of coffee, because part of a dynamic industry like food or coffee is being humble enough to know that you don't know everything. And because it's so dynamic, it's a constant chase for perfection. And it's a constant reassessment of protocols that were standardized that may have changed since then. So yes, I mean, I'm well and truly a coffee professional. I've spent nearly 20 years in the industry, and I think I've got a good handle on it, but I'm definitely not an expert. Every day is an opportunity to grow, and every day is an opportunity to learn.
I love that.
It's incredible, hey?
I think everyone needs to take on that sort of mindset, regardless of the career path you're on.
This is why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
This is why we do podcasts. I keep telling people one of the main reasons we do what we do is that we're able to then tap into that 10,000 hours of mastery and share it with entrepreneurs that are aspiring to do something in terms of their journey and their path, you know what I mean, professionally, or people that are just generally stuck.
Yeah.
And it empowers them to find a solution in some of the information that you shared in some part of your journey. I mean, if you look at the Japanese philosophy, Ikigai, they said, and I'm going to, sorry, just bear with me. I want to spend a minute on it. But, it says, find something you're good at, find something you love, or is it find something you love and something you're good at, something the world needs and something you can get paid for.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you started with a university degree, whether you dropped out, whether you didn't, or you're straight from school, or you haven't finished school. If you manage to align to that philosophy, finding your path is so much easier, and your true love, there's this romanticism attached to it. Because then, the whole saying where it says you don't work a day in your life. And it sounds a little bit like that. I mean, what did you study at university initially, and what made you almost not miss it? Or did you miss it?
So my first degree was a journalism degree. My brother was gifted a book when we were about 17, 18. It was called The Bang Bang Club, and it was written by Greg Marinovich and Joao Silva, who were photographers for the Star newspaper in Johannesburg in the mid-90s. And they almost documented the fall of apartheid and what they called South Africa's hidden war, which was fascinating. And it inspired both of us to study journalism. And I love journalism, and there's a big part of me that still does. I'm fascinated by that world. The bigger problem was that my brother is so outrageously talented. He was employed as a journalist full-time within his first 6 months of first year.
That's insane.
Yes, yeah, and as you can imagine, it's quite hard to follow that act. No, I wasn't able to. So I ended up dropping out of that degree, and I re-enrolled a year later studying English literature and media. And I eventually ended up dropping out of that degree as well 6 months prior to graduating, because by that stage, I had already been working in the coffee roastery for a few years. And the more I was exposed to coffee and coffee culture, I just became obsessed. And I realized when I wasn't passionate about writing anymore, that was the time for me to change and find something else. And I'd found coffee, and I was so passionate about it, I realized that was the right path for me. I needed to explore a career in the coffee industry. And at that time, what did that career look like? I couldn't really tell you beyond being a barista or being a coffee roaster, but I knew that I needed to explore it. And as you can imagine, my parents were furious when I told them I was going to drop out of degree number 2.
That would have been such an interesting
to be a barista after studying for nearly 6 years.
And dropping out a few months before you were set to finish.
Absolutely. But to their credit, I asked them to trust me, and they did. And they supported me through that change and that process. And I eventually, I think I'm probably one of the few people who's lucky enough to have turned a passion into a viable career. And I just ended up finding myself in the right place at the right time, quite luckily.
One of the highlights for me is just seeing such raw talent, materialize into success.
Even raw passion.
Very true, very true. And I remember saying where they said, some of the successful people they've interviewed, and they go, when you look at their journey, they never had all the answers. They knew what they loved doing, and that was the start. So you were at the right place at the right time.
Absolutely, at more than one time. We'll get onto the story about La Marzocco shortly, but that's the same thing. Right place, right time. And I think to a certain degree, you're the master of your own destiny. But if things don't align when they need to align, then unfortunately, there's only so much you can do. And I'm just lucky enough that the timing was right, and I managed to make this a sustainable career.
And I actually think that's a good spot for us to start talking about your current career. Obviously, you've had quite the journey getting to where you are today. So tell us more about what you do. Tell us more about La Marzocco, everything.
So I have to say, just at the start, if I put a name to the guy heading up, or the person heading up La Marzocco, I would have this, person in a suit and very formal, you know what I mean? And have you ever experienced that, where people kind of chat to you on the phone, and when they meet you, they had a completely different impression? Here we've got something that's colorful, high personality, conversationalist.
Someone you
high
hardly
energy.
expect.
and extremely creative.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd like to hope that no one is disappointed when I walk into a room and they have this expectation that somebody's going to turn up in a suit and tie. You know, fundamentally, the coffee industry as a whole, but specifically La Marzocco, is at the core of it a creative business and a creative industry. And the global business encourages self-expression. And there are moments when I'll rock up to an event in a suit and tie and I'll be formal.
Any suit, Italian suit.
Tailored, yeah,
right,
100%. There are those moments, but they are very few and far between. And I like to think that that's part of the appeal of our brand, is that we're not stilted. We're not strict. We're not suited and booted. We're relaxed. We're approachable. We're relatable. That's what brings people in. You know, we're not coffee hipsters, but we're also not stiff. We encourage people to celebrate themselves and express themselves. And I'm lucky enough that I get to do it. And my tattoos, being in the coffee industry, give me credibility. So, yeah, no, absolutely lucky that I get to come to work every day and express myself. But La Marzocco, I'll take you back a little bit to kind of paint a picture of how I got here. So while I was working with Turbador, I was sitting with the owners one afternoon after shift. It was still early days. And I asked them, which company makes the best espresso machines in the world? And they, without even thinking, it was like a reflex, La Marzocco. And again, because I was obsessed with coffee and I was obsessed with everything about it, the first thing I did when I got home, I opened my old laptop, which looked like a phone book, and I started researching about La Marzocco. Or I started researching La Marzocco, and they were right. It was immediately evident that La Marzocco did produce the best espresso machines in the world, and La Marzocco became another obsession for me. Back then, Howick was so small, there wasn't a La Marzocco in Howick, so I used to drive to Durban to a cafe called the Factory Cafe just to look at the machine and to watch the baristas work. It was unreal.
Was the coffee good?
Incredible. Incredible. And it still is. Colombo is one of South Africa's oldest coffee roasters, and they're still producing some of the best coffee in the country. So the next time you're in Durban, let me know. I'll meet you there for coffee. But with that in mind, I eventually begged them to buy me a La Marzocco for my bar, which they acquiesced to eventually. And I worked with them behind the bar for a good couple of years. And then when it came time for me to leave Turbador and move on, I was in the right place at the right time. And I managed to make contact with one of the former importers of the brand in South Africa. And he was looking for someone to be a brand ambassador. So I put my CV forward, and 2 months later, I moved everything that I owned in my little Suzuki Swift up to Joburg. And I started working for that business, which is called Equipment Cafe. Equipment Cafe, fantastic business that has a huge range of products, over 100 products, from Chemex glass brewers to filter machines, filter paper, La Marzocco, espresso grinders, and I began working with them. And over time, I built a relationship with La Marzocco, and I was very fortunate enough to be the first person hired by La Marzocco South Africa in 2021.
That's quite the achievement.
It was the culmination of a dream. It was a brand that I'd always idolized, I'd always desired to work for, that I was obsessed with. And it almost became a bit of a pinch me moment. It was actually very emotional because it was kind of reinforcement that I was on the right track. You know, I had almost idealized all of my dreams. Well, not all of my dreams, but certainly my passions. And I turned them into reality. And I'm grateful every day that I get to work for a brand that I fundamentally loved before I had an introduction to So yeah, very, very grateful, very lucky. And now I find myself spearheading that brand in South Africa, in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It doesn't get much better than this, quite frankly. As you said, the 10,000 hour rule exists. And without my formative experiences doing those 10,000 hours, which weren't pretty, by the way, there were times when I would do mobile events for 3 days at a time, and I would sleep under the table that my espresso machine was on.
Mhm.
So I could sleep for a couple of hours, wake up for the next shift, go back, sleep, live in my car if I needed to.
Gosh.
So it was hard, but it all led to this. And I'm eternally thankful.
But obviously steering such a big ship, so to say, it comes with its own, hurdles. What were some of those biggest hurdles, especially at the beginning of this career?
I think just to add to that as well, Melissa, is that often people say that you initially start working in your business, and then at some point leading the business to growth, you want to work on the business. Do you find there's a happy medium, or do you find you're doing both? Just to, building on Melissa's question.
That's a good point. That's actually a dynamic that I'm struggling with right now. So to answer your question, Melissa, like most of the hurdles that I've faced have been in my own head. As I say, I've been incredibly lucky to be afforded every opportunity to grow in this industry since I started. Believing in yourself to do those things has been my biggest challenge. Like I say, I've been in this industry for 20 years. I have competed in barista competitions. I lead an incredible brand, but I still wake up every morning with imposter syndrome. I don't believe I deserve to be here. And I think that's probably a good thing. I think imposter syndrome can be used as a tool because it keeps you humble. And especially working in the coffee industry, it's important to always be as humble as you can. Well, I feel anyway. So, I mean, that was probably my biggest hurdle, is probably just believing that I could do it and believing that I deserve to be here.
So on that, just in terms of what you were saying, and thank you for that. So how did you almost flip the script on yourself? You've got this battle happening in your head, and that you've won 5 years in a row top barista award for the best cappuccino. Am I right? Did I get that right?
Yes, yeah.
You've had a number of reinforcements and accolades along the way. You'd think that would be enough to motivate you into, this fearless kind of animal. But how did you flip the script on some of the challenges you had in your head? Just think of all the listeners that are having similar challenges, maybe guide them through the way you dealt with it.
So I think, I just tried to absorb as much knowledge as I could. I took the fake it till you make it approach. And really, and that's why I said, I'm still a student. I'm still learning about this industry all the time. And I would just simply absorb knowledge every day from wherever I could. And I would just try to implement that knowledge in any possible, direction. And I just tried my best. But by that stage, I had no other choice but to find a way to get around that imposter syndrome, because like I say, I'd already dropped out of 2 degrees. My parents were not going to support me on another endeavor. So I had no other choice. I just had to make it work. And because I was so passionate about it, while I didn't necessarily believe in myself and those awards that I won at the time, I mean, it was nice and it did give me some sort of validation. But more so than anything, it inspired me to try be better, especially considering the environment that I was from. I was like, it's all very well and good winning the best cappuccino in the Midlands, but it's just the Midlands.
Exactly. It's not, it's not like a
so
city.
there's more that I can do. And if I ever want to get there, I have to be the best in the Midlands. But that's just the start. And then from there, I need to move and I need to grow and I need to progress. So it was difficult. It was really difficult. But anything worth doing is difficult. And anything worth devoting your time to ought to be hard. It's something that you need to practice, and it's something that you need to hone. And it's never always easy. And if it was easy, everybody would do it.
True growth happens when you're uncomfortable. Huh?
Exactly.
Brings me to my...
Sorry, can I just say,
Yes.
I tell my staff that nearly every day. It's so weird that you said that. If you are comfortable, you're not growing. There's a great YouTube channel called Seek Discomfort that I was exposed to quite early on. And that kind of taught me that to succeed and to make a success of whatever you're doing, you need to make yourself uncomfortable. And that's like a guiding principle that I followed for about 10 years.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
Hello and welcome to Training Portal, your trusted partner in skills development and BEE advisory. We are excited to share with you how we can support your business's growth with our expertly designed training solutions. At Training Portal, we are proud to be a leader in skills development consulting and a multi-accredited training academy committed to solving your unique challenges through innovative and cost-effective solutions. Whether you are looking to enhance your team's skills, comply with industry regulations, or maximize your BEE scores, our extensive range of over 300 short courses and more than 30 fully accredited qualifications cover all your needs. From agriculture to information technology, our CETA and QCTO accredited qualifications are designed to provide comprehensive learning experiences. We here at Training Portal understand that every organization is unique. That is why we tailor our training programs to fit your specific requirements, ensuring maximum benefits within your available resources. Our innovative learning platform allows for flexible, self-paced study, available both on-site at your premises and through our Training Portal campuses all across South Africa. Our process is straightforward yet impactful. Starting with a detailed consultation, we develop bespoke solutions that align with your training, financial, and BEE objectives. Success stories from our clients across 18 industries are a testament to our commitment. With Training Portal, you achieve more than your training outcomes. You gain a partner who stands by you from the initial consultation through to the continuous management of your training program. We cater to a wide array of training needs with meticulously crafted solutions. Beyond our main campuses, we have also developed a community campus initiative, bridging the education gap in rural and disadvantaged areas. Through partnerships with forward-thinking companies, we provide accessible, accredited training and rapid learning courses, directly empowering these communities. This initiative not only fosters local talent and meets the partner's skills development objectives, but also contributes significantly to the socio-economic upliftment of the areas we serve, embodying our belief in the transformative power of education for all. Thank you for considering Training Portal as your skills development provider. Visit our website at www.trainingportal.co.za or contact us directly to learn more about how we can help you meet your business's skills development objectives through tailored training solutions. Step into the future of training with Training Portal.
Brings me to the question that I had earlier. So most amazing leaders and successful leaders often battle between working in their business and working on their business and finding almost this happy dynamic between the two. Do you find that you're getting that right?
No. I struggle with that dynamic, especially since in the early days of La Marzocco, which wasn't that long ago, it was just me and one or two other people at any given time. So we would all just do everything from marketing to events to installations, after sales, sales. It was a free-for-all. We just stuck our heads down and we just got it done. Since the business has grown in the last couple of years, I've found myself relinquishing those roles. And I'm a bit of a control freak, admittedly.
Yes, I'm putting my hand up for that one as well. Yes, thank you.
And it's been difficult, quite frankly. It's been really difficult, but it's something that for growth, again, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. And at some point, you have to hand over the reins and trust that the people that you bring into your environment have the same ethos as you do and the same care and the same drive towards excellence. And I've been lucky enough to find myself with a team that share the same values that I do. So while it has been difficult not working in the business as much as I used to, it's been necessary. It's been necessary. Especially in the last year and a half, I've transitioned fully into my brand management role and a marketing role, which requires me to be creative. And as I'm sure you would know, it's quite difficult to be creative when you are stuck in the minutia of this machine needs to be installed and this site has this specific water filtration and the water is doing this and it should be doing that. So the more I've kind of got to grips with the fact that I need to pull away from the operational side of the business, the more that's allowed me to be creative and to actually deliver on what I need to deliver on right now.
You spoke a lot in your previous podcast. I had the privilege of listening to some of them. Incredible. I mean, I've learned so much through them as well. So thank you for that. But you mentioned that culture is quite important to you. You're passionate about it. And it plays a huge role in La Marzocco, at least La Marzocco globally and in South Africa as well. And part of that is obviously surrounding yourself with a team that in a way has got this entrepreneurial mindset and have the super independence and alignment to, where you're heading as a business. Do you find that the team that you currently have, and they're probably listening in, the team that you currently have, mimics that in terms of, your leadership style and the entrepreneurial mindset and taking this business to the next level?
Absolutely. I have consciously not hired people according to their skill set. I've hired people according to their personalities. Because I can always teach you about coffee or coffee machines, but I can't teach you how to be a nice person. So obviously the South African coffee industry is so small. And the people who make up the rest of my team, I have known for years. They've all been in the coffee industry in one way or another. Our sales director, Matt, used to work with me at Turbidor. Haley, who runs our after sales department, used to be one of the senior managers at Origin Coffee in Cape Town, one of South Africa's oldest coffee roasteries. Fikile, our junior sales rep, used to be a barista trainer for Seattle. So we've all come from a similar industry where we value customer service, number one. We value the craft of coffee. We value the premium aspect of the coffee industry. And that has really, more so than anything else, given them a really good foundation to begin the next step in their career journey with a business that is fundamentally worlds apart from a coffee roastery. I've been incredibly lucky to find or to surround myself with like-minded people who love this business as much as I do. And that's as a leader, that's really all you can hope for. And that's honestly 80% of your job done. Is to just find people who are passionate and that care about the business as much as you do.
Yeah. I think that's why Peter Drucker said that, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And that's, the dominating, factors in any business that's, predominantly successful. It's the attitudes, the behaviors, you know what I mean? And the values that's throughout the business. So, yeah.
But I actually want to touch a bit on the coffee industry because I know we kind of touched on it when you said, you joined coffee in the very beginning, beginning of the 2000s. So just before that boom happened, everything, you've seen all the trends. What trends do you foresee in the future? Let's say in the next year, 2 years, 5 years.
You mean 2000 when you were having instant coffee?
Exactly. Sounds like me in my kitchen every morning anyway.
There's a big trend, well, not trend, but it's the way of the world in general, is integrating technology into espresso equipment.
Like AI?
No, not necessarily. I mean, some businesses do employ AI in their equipment, specifically coffee roasters, employ some AI tools into their coffee roasters. It's well above my pay grade, but it apparently works.
To the beans.
There we go.
Talks to the beans.
So the integration of technology is it's not something that we can get away from. So from the Marzocco perspective, all of our machines are IoT capable. IoT, if you haven't heard that before, it means Internet of Things. So you can connect to our coffee machines via a smart app, and you can measure the telemetry of the machine. So how hot is the boiler? What pressure is your steam boiler sitting at? How are your volumetric buttons set? And it'll warn you if they're not where you set them to be. You can turn the machine on and off remotely. You can see how many cups of coffee were made a day. And that's just what we're doing. There are countless other businesses that are integrating really next level technology into their products. Another division of another product that the factory have built over the last couple of years is an automatic milk steamer. Which doesn't take away from the barista, but it augments the barista and it helps them work faster and more efficiently. And
those are machines that I think, is it Starbucks that uses it? Are we allowed to say Starbucks? But so Starbucks uses, right?
So not the milk steamer itself, but yes, that's a very good point. Starbucks use what's called a super automatic machine, which takes a lot of, I wouldn't say the guesswork away from the barista, but it helps them be a little bit more consistent.
Okay.
And also helps them push that high volume of drinks out as quickly as possible. That's a great example. There's another manufacturer called Eversys that produces the most incredible bean-to-cup machine you've ever seen in your life. I could blindfold you and give you 2 cups of coffee, one made by me and one made by an Eversys. You would never be able to tell the difference. Absolutely never be able to tell the difference. And then the most common, or the easiest, or the biggest business that's kind of driving that technological evolution or integration into machines in South Africa is a telemetry business called Flow that you can install into your espresso machines, and it helps your area manager or your roaster track what is happening in that cafe in real time. So they can actually make recommendations, say, hey, listen, your pressure's looking bad. You might want to get your machine serviced.
I have that in my restaurants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that is the next trend in the coffee industry. I wouldn't call it automation, but it's certainly integrating technology to improve and make the barista's job easier.
I think that's very important, because the point is we don't want to replace them. We want to, standardize it, ensure that my cup of coffee is going to be the same as your cup of coffee in terms of quality.
I mean, there's a lot of people tuning into this program, and they aspiring to either be, following your footsteps, or aspire to be a barista, or aspiring to get into, production of coffee. And I almost feel as if this is fear because AI is going to take a lot of that away. Do you feel that's going to happen? Do you feel that AI eventually will replace the barista, or?
I hope not.
If you had to predict the future 10 years from now, looking at the technology going into machines?
I hope I'm not in the industry if that does happen. For me, I love coffee. Like I do love coffee, but more so than anything else, I love the people aspect of coffee. It's made by humans. The crop is grown by humans for years before you consume that cherry or that bean. And part of the specialness of coffee is the interpersonal connection that we can share over a drink. Name one other beverage that holds as much interpersonal lubricants, I suppose, as coffee does. Hey,
Definitely not juice, Melissa.
I'm
hey,
sorry.
I'm in town. Do you want to meet for a coffee? Melissa, do you ever ask people to meet you for juice?
No.
No, you tell them to meet you for coffee and
Or
you
tea.
have
I do
juice.
tea. Yeah, there we go.
Never rock up when she says juice or tea. You know, and she goes there and
And
they
here I
never
thought it
rock
was-
up for that meeting. So
It was
where do
just my personality.
Even people who don't drink coffee say, hey, would you like to meet me for a cup of coffee? Coffee is a common denominator that spans most cultures around the world. It's a way for us to connect with multiple cultures that may be fundamentally different to us. Coffee is a unifier, and coffee is what brings us all together. It's a commonality that most people share.
I saw an interesting stat where it says the compounded annual growth rate expected for the coffee industry is around 11%, which is astounding. And this is all spurred on by the refinement of people's palates, you know, instant coffee, moving on to, you know, more the artisanal kind of style coffees, but more so the experience. It's interesting how people are drawn to coffee, like you were saying, because of the experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, let's take it back a good couple of 100 years. Lloyd's of London,
Yes.
the multinational insurance business. Do you know where it was started?
Yep.
Lloyd's Coffee House in London. It was originally a coffee house. Coffee, if you do some research, has been the genesis of some of the world's most brilliant ideas. Brilliant businesses were started over a cup of coffee. How could we lose that human connection?
You can't.
How could we lose that human aspect?
But it also can't be replicated by a machine.
It can be, but it loses.
Then it's no longer human.
It loses not all of its appeal, but it loses everything about what coffee is. You know, I've seen robotic coffee makers. I'm lucky enough to go to trade shows in China and Italy, and I see them, and the coffee's delicious. But for me, coffee is more than about what is in this cup. It's this conversation. It's the barista greeting me by name. It's the barista remembering my drink order. It's the feeling I get when I sit in a cafe and my favorite song comes on. You know, that's coffee. And that's what I love about it. And fundamental to those things is the human connection. And I can't really see a world where a human won't be involved in coffee. I hope I won't see it.
I always try to instill in my teams that I said, you know what? We sell experiences. We don't sell coffee and, you know, great food and juices and teas, but we sell experience. And if there's one thing I need to achieve every day, just remember one thing. Let a customer leave with the mindset that this place gets me.
Yeah.
No matter what. I want them to have one thought, whether they have a coffee or a tea or a juice in their hands or a sandwich, let them say, this place gets me. And that comes down to experience. It's also a good segue for my next question. Marzocco, you said it's a lifestyle brand. What does that mean? Because, you know, when people come in here, they see coffee machines and look, it's amazing and colorful and creative. But what does that mean for La Marzocco?
So La Marzocco was, I mean, in the early years was started by two brothers who were artisans, who were creators and aesthetes. And an espresso machine was just one of the things that they crafted. It just so happened that it was at the right place at the right time when espresso machines were booming in the 30s. And that culture of artisanship, of celebrating a lifestyle around coffee has been present since the very beginning. And I think certainly in the last 20 years, we've kind of expanded on that because, look, we can't make any bones about it. La Marzocco is a premium brand. We're an expensive brand. We're not a brand that anyone can afford, I'm afraid to say. But that doesn't mean that people can't still be a part of our family and still identify with who we are as a global business. And the easiest way for us to do that and to welcome people into our culture is to celebrate the lifestyle aspect of coffee and our brand. We do that through a t-shirt, a cap, a skateboard, a surfboard, really anything that celebrates a passion for a hobby or a career or just an enjoyment that hopefully has some connection to coffee. And I think we've as I say, over the last 20 years, we've kind of expanded on that, and we've started to celebrate more artisans who share the same ethos that we do. And just because they maybe make a surfboard or they make a skateboard, that passion and that drive towards excellence is no different to the drive towards excellence that Marzocco has. So why wouldn't we celebrate it? And it's just a way for us to, as I say, welcome people into our culture, welcome people into our world. We are a business that is fundamentally about enjoyment and having fun. And those lifestyle pieces and those lifestyle aspects and that merchandise that's associated with it is just a way to celebrate that causal link.
Okay. And for the layman buying a very sophisticated coffee machine, taking it home, do you provide training?
Yes. Yeah, we do.
I love that, because I would not be able to know how to work it.
You can't do juice on those machines, Melissa, and you can't do tea. It's only for coffee. Sorry, I had to clarify that.
Not at all. So I always tell people that working a coffee machine is kind of like driving a car.
But what if I can't drive?
I'll teach you.
Okay.
I'll teach you. And that's why we offer training. Because what's the point in, I don't want to sell you something that's not going to be utilized to its full potential, or you're not going to be able to utilize it to its full potential, because you're never going to enjoy it. And you're never going to be happy about that purchase because you won't get it right. So yes, 100%. So should you buy a coffee machine, specifically a home coffee machine, we'll install it for you. And then Fikile, my colleague, will take you through a full crash course on how to use the machine. We also, via our international business, offer an e-learning platform. So should you not have absorbed everything that Fikile has trained you on, you are more than welcome to jump onto the e-learning platform and watch the content as much as you like.
I love that. As someone who, online platforms like e-learning platforms, they're my bread and butter. It's how I make my money. I'm a learning designer.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you guys have created a resource like that is just phenomenal. Because that's the last thing I would have expected from a coffee machine brand type of thing.
It's accessible at any time.
I love that.
And where do people, access, the machines if they want to buy one? View it, experience it? Is it only in your showroom at a biscuit mill, or is it, retail stores, online?
So we've toyed around with the idea of partnering with retail stores and distributors for our home range of products. And while we'd really love to do that, we'd rather isolate the machines to this room and to sell them direct to the consumer, because then we control the user experience with the brand. We can ensure that you have the right training, you have the right water filtration, you have all of the tools that you could ever need to make great coffee, but you'll also, again, be welcomed into our brand through merchandise, marketing events, coffee tastings. So for us, it's more important to control the user experience with the brand than it is to sell an extra 250 machines a year. Because our entire global business is built off of the back of passion and care and, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, Doesn't matter. Passion and care. And it's more important for us to make sure that anyone who experiences La Marzocco either through a t-shirt or a skateboard or an espresso machine has the best possible experience with the brand. I would rather limit our sales to this room than to sell a machine through a retailer that isn't going to take the same amount of care with their customer.
I must say, one of the things I've definitely gotten from our whole chat is how passionate you are about La Marzocco. And as you're talking, I can't help but notice, you literally wear their brand on your sleeve, not your tattoo sleeve. As someone who has tattoos, I know every tattoo has their own meaning to the owner of the tattoo. What does it represent to you?
So my sleeve is full of moments from the last 20 years that have been significant. The ice cream is my fiance. The lighthouse is my father. So I get tattoos for moments. And I explained to you guys that, La Marzocco was always a brand that I idealized since those early days as a barista. And working here is just a bit of a dream. In I think it was my second or third year working for La Marzocco South Africa, I had been nominated for an internal award, which is called Collaborator of the Year. It's something that is extended to every La Marzocco office around the world, and it celebrates creativity, alignment with the global brand, bringing forward new ideas, bringing passion to the table. I came third in the world.
Wow.
In that awards. And again, imposter syndrome, right? So that was a crystalline moment for me. And I needed to put this on my body because it's fundamentally who I am. And I needed to celebrate that important moment of, I've always dreamed of this, and while I don't feel like I deserve it, these people do, and they own the brand. So that was the moment when I actually, the very next day, booked an appointment and went and got the tattoo. And it's, no matter where I end up, it'll always be a part of who I am and a part of my journey. And again, this is what that arm is for. It's for celebrating where I've come from, the businesses and the people that have had an impact on who I am and have molded me into the person that I am today. There's a turbidor tattoo coming eventually. I've got one more space, and it's a Great Dane shape.
Love it.
Rumor has it the most painful space. It's under your arm.
I haven't done it yet because I'm so scared. But yeah, I mean, that's the story behind the tattoo. People think I'm crazy. Like, why would you have a brand tattooed on you?
Why not?
For me, it's always been more than a brand. It's a lifestyle, and it's my family. And that's part of the magic of La Marzocco. As a global business, it's more than about the machines. The machines are great. The technology is fantastic. The dual boiler system, revolutionary. That's not what matters. La Marzocco, as a global brand, is a family. And that's the magic of La Marzocco. We are a connected family of coffee professionals that transcends the continental divide. If I was somehow stranded in a remote town in Australia, I have at least 20 people I could call to help. The same with Scandinavia, the same with the States, the same with everywhere we have an office. We're all friends and we're all family. And that's what I love about this brand. And I mean, I suppose the coffee industry in general. We're all friends. We all know each other and we all help each other.
Such an inspiring story. I wanted to just, I mean, I'm reflecting on your story in my head and I'm just playing it back. And, you know, you make statements, you know, like I've got imposter syndrome still sometimes. And you speak a little about your amazing achievements too. If you went back to your very younger self, not that far back, is there something you want to tell yourself?
Trust the process and be patient. I'm a naturally incredibly anxious and highly strung person. I know that I look cool, calm, and collected.
I feel like that seems to be the norm these days.
No, I am a ball of anxiety 24 hours a day. And I suppose that also leads back into my imposter syndrome, you know? I'm never getting there fast enough, you know? I'm not progressing in this or at the speed I should be progressing. And what if I don't do this? Then that won't happen. And it just becomes a rat's nest in my head about what I'm doing and how quickly I'm progressing. So if I had to tell myself anything, it's slow down, trust the process, and enjoy the journey. And the last 15 years, I mean, quite frankly, I can't remember it. It has just been nonstop. And while I've loved every second of it, I wish I could remember it.
Thank you for that.
Now, Sinjon, before we finish, I'm sorry, I know I'd love to just chat all day about coffee, but unfortunately, I think we are at the end. But I always love to have like a bit of a quick fire trivia. I mean, obviously coffee is your life. So I foresee you knowing all the answers. I know our previous guests struggled a bit with these questions, Sean.
I took 3 months to study them, so.
So if you're ready, I think let's dive right in. Let's put you into that hot seat. All right, so true or false? Espresso has less caffeine than a regular cup of drip coffee.
True.
True. It is. I didn't know that.
Do you want to know why?
Yes, please.
Quickly. Okay, so it's all about contact time between the water and the coffee.
Okay.
So espresso is extracted for a maximum of like 35 seconds. A plunger, you have to let it steep for 5 minutes. Cold brew, do you guys drink cold brew? That's steeped for 16 hours minimum. So cold brew has the most amount of caffeine in it than any other coffee beverage.
And appreciation for cold brew now.
And it's contact time.
Wow. Okay, so what came first, the cappuccino or the flat white?
Cappuccino in the 30s with the Italians.
Al Capone.
Cappuccini.
You know what? Cappuccino. One cappuccino and a donut. That was Al Capone's meal.
Flat white is a relatively recent invention, mid-2000s. The Australians, they know what they're doing. Or the Kiwis. I don't want to offend anyone. It's still a massive debate as to who invented it.
Okay, next one. How many beans in a standard single shot of espresso?
Oh, that's nearly impossible to answer.
Actually, a multiple choice question, so I have got a few options. So, is it 10? Is it 42, 75, or 120? Which one?
I want to say it's probably 42.
It's 42.
Yeah.
I would love to know how many of the answers Sean would have known. I would have known none. Which country drinks the most coffee per capita?
Finland.
Which I was very surprised about, by the way.
They've got nothing else. It's snow.
So inadequate because I got most of them wrong the first time I saw it. Obviously, I need to spend more time, studying.
What is a God shot called in barista lingo? What is it? Sorry.
What is the God shot? The God shot is really the pursuit of perfection. The God shot hopefully never happens for any of us. The God shot is the perfect shot of espresso. And why I say I hope it never happens is because once you've had the God shot, where do you go from there?
That is true. Once you've tasted perfection, what is next? Everything else just pales in comparison.
I mean, not to ruin your quick fire, but that leads into a bigger question of what is perfection? And that's the beauty of the coffee industry, is that it's all so subjective. My perfection is completely different to your perfection and your perfection and his perfection. And that's the great part about it. We never reach that apex. We're always chasing it. And isn't that awesome?
Isn't that just, that's life, isn't it? Eh? Just aspiring to be better every day.
Every day. And that's why I say I will never call myself an expert or a connoisseur, because that implies that I've learned everything.
And there's still so much.
Absolutely. The scope of any industry, but specifically, again, a dynamic industry, is that it's so broad, you can never know anything, or everything, rather.
Sure, Sinjon, you're a true legend.
Absolutely.
Thank you for welcoming us into your family.
Thank you for joining me.
And your home.
And especially that. Coming here, it is honestly like drinking a cup of good coffee. It is so welcoming and fresh in here. I love it.
I think you've switched the list from juice.
You did. You have converted me.
Pop in any time, folks. While I'm not a coffee shop, you have free coffee on the house for life.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Next time on the Trading Portal podcast.
I had it up by then because after I got back from the Med, I was still sailing around South Africa and doing a few trips. I did a trip to the Seychelles and back as well in a sailboat. So I had all the sailing experience, which I know how to live on a boat by now, kind of. And that's someone getting started needs to also realize you're not going to maybe get that big job at first. You have to do the bad job
from the
first.
grunt almost.
Yeah,
Work
and
up.
prove yourself.
Now describe your first experience in or on a yacht. What stood out to you about it, and what kept you coming back?
Well, it was a difficult adjustment at first because I've gone from now living alone or being on my own, and then now I'm living with 15 people the whole time. That's always in your space.